I want to tell you a little bit about Bill de Blasio. He's the only Democrat with the guts to really break from the Bloomberg years. The only one who will raise taxes on the rich to fund early childhood and after-school programs. He's got the boldest plan to build affordable housing, and he's the only one who will end a stop-and-frisk era that unfairly targets people of color. Bill de Blasio will be a mayor for every New Yorker, no matter where they live or what they look like. And I'd say that even if he weren't my dad.
That, of course, Dante, ranked this week by the Washington Post as the best political campaign ad of 2013. And you can't exaggerate, can you? Just how good a spot that was.
No, you can't, because that ad took Bill de Blasio from, I believe, 4th place to 1st, and he never looked back as he is about to become the mayor of New York City.
Introduced the biracial family 2 different ways, with Dante himself and with mom and dad in the kitchen together. It did that.
I was with somebody when they saw it, and they didn't realize until the end of the spot that he was his son. And the way that it did it, I mean, you follow this close, right? But if you didn't know and then you see it play out at the end, you're like, whoa a minute, that's his dad? And then you see the comparison of a tall white guy and a kid with a fro, and you say, wow, it jogged the memory. And whether they planned it or not to be this impactful or not, they'll take credit for it now. But it totally shaped the race.
Defining moment.
So where does Dante rank among the all-time best campaign ads? Well, think about that as we take you on a visit of campaigns past.
You like Ike, I like Ike, everybody likes Ike for president. Hang out the banner and beat the drum, we'll take Ike to Washington.
It's 3 a.m. and your children are safe and asleep. Who do you want answering the phone?
Despite a life sentence, Horton received 10 weekend passes from prison. Horton fled, kidnapped a young couple, stabbing the man and repeatedly raping his girlfriend. Weekend prison passes. Dukakis on crime.
It's morning again in America, under the leadership of President Reagan. Our country is prouder and stronger and better. Why would we ever want to return to where we were less than 4 short years ago?
And we were just mentioning, Dominic, that one ad that's also famous. For time purposes, we couldn't get in, the mushroom cloud, right? So when you look at those, Morning in America always jumped out at me. I remember when the Willie Horton spot came out. Everyone's like, oh. But it worked.
It
you
worked.
know?
Quite effective.
The tank in the ad.
No flash to that ad. It's just terrible stuff that one guy saying the whole time.
The tank with a big, obviously oversized helmet on Dukakis, and of course that debate when he was asked by Bernie Shaw if his wife was raped, and his less than emphatic answer that kept Dukakis out of the way.
The Dante ad also introduced a lot of people to Bill de Blasio in a way that all of those ads didn't really have to. I mean, they
attacked their opponent.
Willie Horton attacked the opponent. So did the 3 a.m. phone call. I Like Ike was just fun and hummable. But
the Agnew.
It's not
Spiro Agnew spot certainly.
Also a pretty nasty attack. But this, to introduce your opponent, you remember Barbara Buono earlier in the campaign had a not Cuomo but Buono, not Sonny Bono but Buono. Like that was a good rollout, get to know you kind of campaign spot. Dante's was. I can't remember.
But the 3 a.m. spot was good, too, by Hillary Clinton.
She got some blowback on it, though.
Right. Perhaps they should have did it a lot sooner, because it did make you stop and go, wait a minute. Do we really want this guy who's a freshman senator receiving that phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning? So it didn't work in the end, but it was effective.
We did.
Yeah, and for people who think that ads don't make a huge difference, first of all, as Dom will tell you, money makes a difference because you can blanket the airwaves and have branding. We follow all this stuff really closely, but the average voter out there, these ads really shape their opinions more. Okay, now let's, Andrew, get into the worst campaign. And again, this was a story today where some of them look back on it. But there was 3 races in our region that made the list here in terms of people who ran the worst ones. 2 of those candidates in New York City, and 1, the aforementioned Democratic challenger in the New Jersey gubernatorial race.
Let's put it up so everybody at home can play along with us as we try to figure it out. We're talking about Anthony Weiner, who did not exactly use social media to the greatest extent, as one of them. Christine Quinn, also from New York City in the mayoral race. She's now unemployed, by the way. And then Barbara Buono, who I mentioned before, the New Jersey gubernatorial race, and who got trounced by Chris
So who would you pick
Christie.
of those three?
I would probably pick Christine Quinn. She was a front runner. The campaign imploded. She didn't seem to have an issue that she could hit on. I mean, Anthony Weiner just exploded himself. It's probably a bad phrase.
Let's move on.
And Barbara Buono, the expectations on her were so low to begin with. I mean, a year ago at this time, we figured Christine Quinn might very well be the next mayor of New York.
We thought you would be. Who would you pick of those three?
A close first, but I think I would go with Weiner. To my friend Anthony Weiner, newsflash. When you're running for mayor and you've already done the apology tour, you can't have alleged bimbos popping back up thinking that it's not going to happen.
She wasn't an alleged.
I'm trying to be nice.
Well, you know
I'm
what's
trying
funny?
to be nice.
A name that nobody puts on it, but Bill Thompson in a different way. It was self-immolation on the part of Weiner. He destroyed himself. Christine Quinn, it was clear she wasn't ready for the front runner status. And people always talk about it. There's one thing with being a candidate, there's one thing with being well funded and everything else, but once you're at the top and everybody's taking shots at you, you learn more about the candidate then than at any point, as you know.
You sure do.
But Bill Thompson, 4 years earlier, he had this thing set up for him. And then this time, when Weiner destroyed himself, Quinn wasn't ready, somebody had to fill the void. And there's one thing, Quinn tried but failed abysmally. She made a strategic decision to align herself with Bloomberg, and it didn't work, right? But Thompson just never gave it his best shot, it felt like. And we all like Bill, and I think he's capable, and I think he'd make a good mayor. But it's one thing going down swinging. He didn't swing. And that to me is not the worst campaign, but it's a shame because you'd rather lose by giving your best shot. I'm not sure he did.
But I think it's also a shame that his own base turned away from him.
But did he give him a reason to? Or did de Blasio give them a better reason to turn out?
But what reason did de Blasio really give except for look at my biracial kid
No, he
with
made
an
the
afro?
point he was the most vocal on stop and frisk.
He was out there a little more. He was to the left more than Quinn was and Thompson. But at the end of the day, I don't know. Thompson, I don't know.
Yeah.
He got a raw deal.
Listen, we're going to be talking in the coming days a couple of other big, interesting political news. Vito Fossella, remember him? He's thinking about return to politics.
Good family man.
Excellent.
Good
Mr.
family
Family
man.
Values.
Many family men.
And also, where was the county executive of Westchester today, Mr. Astrini? Well, apparently he was in our nation's capital talking to some folks about a run for governor. We'll be talking about those issues and more in the coming days. But when we come back, we will be talking some legal cases and some surprising decisions that had us asking, where is justice and what is the proper punishment when it seems the same crime, you get two very different results here. We'll talk about that with our guest after this.